process like, or what things do you draw from either in your life?
It's always changing. Right now, I just finished this journal, so before I'm gonna like transcribe, I'm gonna type out all of it. But before I do that, I'm working with like, so I do that for every journal, and I'm working with like the old material that I haven't used. I'll just write lines or whatever, and
so like you have time away, so you write and you write, and then
and then
you start a new one, and then while you're starting the new one, you type up the old one, and so you're going back into that old material.
And I like got this tarot card deck for this collection because I feel like it's perfect. That was done by this artist, and the cards are just like beautiful. So I'm using that as a way to sort of like structure a series of things using the old material before I transcribe this one.
And was it something new that you thought of like after looking back through the old material, or did you sort of like have that in mind while you were working?
No, it's new. It's just sort of like I had no idea what to do with the old stuff. It's just 26 pages, like single, like 11-point Arial font, just straight, like blocks of text of just lines that I like, that I'd read, or that I'd come up with. And most of it's garbage, absolute garbage. But I feel like, but I was like, I can't write this. I can't like transcribe this and then have like I have to do something with this old stuff. So I used the cards just to like organize my thoughts. But it's different. It's always different. Like I did this collection this series of erasers, not erasers. And so that process was completely different. It was just like I took a book and just wrote in it and like drew in it and circled words that I liked and then constructed poems that way. And the first manuscript were like more poems about bewilderment and that, and I was able to like use workshop. I feel like I workshopped those a lot, and had like workshop advice or something.
Do you still do that? Do you have like friends or?
I have a few friends who like I'll bounce ideas off of, but it's not like in a formal setting at all. It's just, I think of like, well, my sister Lyriel is like, she's a poet, but I don't know if she would ever like say that she's a poet, but she's a poet. And so like if I write something, I'll just send it to her and be like, what are your thoughts? Or there are very few people who I'll like send things to, but it's not like a workshop. Usually with Lyriel, she's just like sitting here and she'll be like smoking a spliff, and then I'll just be like, what do you think? What are your thoughts on this? And I think that's it's different.
That's a good way for you to.
Or I'll bounce ideas off of like just friends, who maybe don't even read a lot of poetry. And that to me is more useful. I also use Twitter. I love Twitter. I love practicing a line and tweeting it. And then like, if there's like, people like the line, it's like, oh, maybe this is maybe something I could like use in a poem or something. Yeah. As a way to just like test it.
So your material is coming from everywhere, like from things you read, things you see, or things you come up with. Where does all this stuff come from? And then like, how do you know what to do with it?
I use form to figure out what to do with it. I feel like I like rely on forms. Maybe it's because I dated somebody who like really loved like formal poetry and concrete poetry. I think that helped give me structure, because I didn't know what, it's like I felt like it helped coming up with different forms or something is a good way for me to like figure out what I want to do. Like a lipogram will be really fun. It's just, it's like, okay, so I have this form. Now I know I want to do something that's, I don't know. Actually, that's not really how it worked with the lipograms. The lipograms took a really long time to arrive at that form. So there was like, this is going to get me in trouble, but I actually really like Christian Bach's Book's poetry. I don't agree with his politics. He once destroyed me in chess. I really disagree with his politics and the poets he chooses to stand behind. although, you know, I'm a little bit, I'm not, you know, I think that Vanessa Place was, I like Vanessa Place. I like her as a person. I think that I have a lot of respect for her. Her early work, I think, is just amazing. I think that I'm not crazy about, obviously, the Twitter stuff and, you know, how she like doubled down on her rhetoric, and that to me was disappointing. I felt very disappointed by that, just because I had hoped that she would have at least been like, you know, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, you know, like, I don't, seeing where the misstep was, conceptually, you know, I'm not trying to, like, this is the way people talk about, like, I'm not leveraging identity against her. I'm applying a critique, you know, the same type of critique that I think that, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's also a sign of respect, you know. I think that to be critical of these people, even to the point of like eviscerating public, like I feel like I eviscerated or tried to eviscerate Kenneth Goldsmith, and like that is still I don't think of that as like disrespect. I think, you know, if I'm gonna disrespect you, I'm just gonna like I'm gonna roll my eyes and like pretend I don't see you. So the lipograms, I think crystallography is one of my favorite books. The lipogram is like a poem that, you know, you might like pull a letter from it, or like the ones that I wrote, the whole poem was using, one of them is like the whole poem uses the letters and the word crocodile, and it's just like a playful, fun poem, or another one where like letters fall out of the poem as the poem continues. So those types of forms help me like figure it out, where it comes from or something. Or not even where it comes from, but how it gets there. I don't know where it comes from. I call it the polycephalic goddess. I've got this like whole mythology in my mind of like this like oblivion, right? And I'm just like picking for it, like picking for the words. And I have no idea where it's gonna end up, or where I'm gonna end up or something.
So how do you know when a poem is done?
Never. Never know. I never know. I don't know. At this point, it's like, now it's the thing where it's like, oh, I guess it got published.